Truck-kun is Supporting Me from Another World is one of these absurd games you hear about and don't even think is real. You drive this delivery truck through a city, you run over pedestrians, it sends them into another world, and in that world they become fantasy monsters where a muscular elf woman kills those monsters while yelling at you through the screen mounted inside your truck. Seriously, this is one of the most ridiculous arcade game ideas I've seen in a long time, and here are the facts. For the first few runs, it completely works. The truck feels fantastic in control, the objectives give you a constant reason to be changing direction, and the dialogue here understands exactly how absurd all of this is. I'm Vadd, and in my review here of Truck-kun, I gotta tell you, after around 5 runs, something becomes impossible to ignore. You have already seen just about everything. The same city, the same objectives, the same progression loop, the same destruction. The question here is not whether Truck-kun is fun. I think it is. But for me, the question is whether that fun has enough variety and substance to justify its $20 price. I think that's where this review gets much harder. I played through the campaign, reached the final boss, rolled credits, did all the main stuff. Listen, the main story takes around 3 to 6 hours, kind of depending on how much you wander and how much you're really focused. The game's going to allow you to chase scores and progression, but it's an arcade score attack driving game built around short timed runs. You're going to have some very short runs and some longer ones. You're going to play as a driver who accidentally hits a businesswoman with your truck on the way to work. But instead of simply killing this woman, you actually send her into a fantasy world. She gets reborn as this huge armored elf and learns that she needs to defeat some kind of a skeleton king and obtain a resurrection scroll if she wants to return to her original body you hit with your truck. You have kind of 2 main characters in the story. Carissa here understands the situation because she apparently, quote, watches enough anime that she immediately recognizes that she's been transported into an isekai story and she needs monsters to fight, which means you, the truck driver, need to hit things and send them over to her with your magic truck. You're going to drive through the real world, running over everything you can see, and then those people are going to appear in the fantasy world that Chris is in as slimes, werewolves, and just other classic RPG monsters. As you continue to destroy objects in the city, it'll charge up Chris's weapon, and once enough enemies and energy have been collected, you can honk your horn to unleash your ultimate attack to cut everything down. You're going to be earning stars, unlocking more conversations, and just moving the story forward. There's this absurd anime presence on top of this world full of, driving destruction. The whole idea is just kind of ridiculous. And I think the actual gameplay underneath the overarching joke is actually much more competent than I expected. I think that Truck-kun here presents itself like a chaotic arcade game with a surprising amount happening at once. You're running over pedestrians, destroying cars, smashing fences, delivering packages, drifting through the streets, boosting, escaping the police, big jumps, beaches, parking garage, parking lots, charging up Chris's sword, completing challenges, extending the time limiter. All of these things are real. All of these systems are real. This is not a game with one joke, nothing underneath. I think the truck has a very strong set of movement options, and the city has several different distinct districts, and the objectives overall encourage you to learn the layout. Yes, there's a campaign with some progression and dialogue and a final boss, but I think the game gives the impression that all these parts are building towards something larger. As you learn the skills, you learn the city, you beat the boss, but they're just not. The campaign does not steadily introduce major new mechanics. The progression does not transform the way you approach a run. The story milestones give you new conversations, but they don't change the way you're going to play, and the large city is still just one big city. To be clear here, Truck-kun delivers the basic experience it advertises here. You're going to drive around, create chaos, complete objectives, and help Chris fight monsters. I think the problem here is that the game delivers that experience immediately from the very first run, and then it just asks you to repeat that for several more hours, run after run after run. I think that difference here matters because a small arcade game does not need dozens of systems. It does not need a massive campaign. It doesn't need 50 maps with 50 different variations, but I think it does need enough variety to keep that score chasing loop alive. I think Truck-kun here has a very strong foundation foundation, it just does not build enough on top of it. I'd love to say that the opening hour is the strongest part of the game and be wrong, because I just want there to be more after that first hour. The facts are that opening hour is the absolute best the game is ever going to be. You have everything unlocked, the full city's there, it's all brand new, you're just learning the map, meeting the characters, the concept is new, the dialogue is funny, the city feels large, and every objective teaches you something about the truck and the map. You need to knock over some parked cars? Well, where are the parked cars? You need to take out a chair on the beach? Where's the beach? You learn that smashing people creates monsters. You learn that destroying objects is going to charge Chris's weapon. You learn the right way to drift, to boost, how you ram sideways, how you reverse directions, how you're going to escape the police vehicles. You also begin learning where different objectives can be found. Suddenly you need to destroy a plastic fence, or a wooden chair, or a street light, or a vehicle that's in motion. You get a new test here where you need to drift for a certain amount of distance, you need to go in reverse for a certain distance, you need to get a certain amount of airtime. All these things add into the run. They add time on the clock, because each run starts with 90 seconds. In 90 seconds, the run is over unless you complete these objectives. There's this frantic pace to things that gives this kind of a one more turn kind of a feel, where you don't realize that you finished a run, started another, you finished a run, started another, you finished a run and started another. For me, the early runs, it just felt like the game was constantly giving me more and more small things to understand. And because this timer, again, is only 90 seconds, there's this really, really tender sense of pressure where it's easy just to add 10 more seconds, 10 more seconds, 30 more seconds, until you get that one tricky objective. You're like, ooh, where's the fence? Have I broke all the fences already? You know, completing these objectives award you that additional time. And a successful run doesn't just end after the first 90 seconds. It can go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes in. I think overall this creates such a strong rhythm. You start with almost no time, you complete your objectives, they give you just enough time to finish that next objective, you collect more monsters, charge the sword, earn the stars, you try and keep that run alive, and each thing is creating that one more run feeling. Again, I think the issues here only show up once you've understood the map and have seen most of the objective types. There's not really a second layer to this game. There's not suddenly another city, another district. Your truck doesn't have a complete different role. There aren't some big upgrades that change the way your truck moves or jumps. You're not going to be introduced to new major systems that change how you think about a run. The same police show up, the same chairs are parked in the same spot, the pedestrians roam the same places, and the objectives will keep on repeating over and over and over. The routes are going to become wildly familiar very fast, and these campaign milestones start feeling more like gates between conversations rather than meaningful progression. It's a short game, which I think is a good thing. Complete the whole thing, very small number of hours, and I think that is a good thing here, but this is not a game that becomes bad after a few hours, it just becomes predictable. And once the game becomes predictable, the lack of variety becomes so much harder to ignore. If anything, this is a game that's fun to play in small bursts. I enjoyed playing for around 30, 40 minutes, maybe an hour, and then just walking away, because by the time I came back, I was usually ready to play something else. I didn't want to do one more run. This is not automatically a problem here, but I think short sessions suit this type of experience. For me, the best part of Truck-kun wasn't the witty dialogue, the characters, the world, but it was actually the truck itself. Driving felt responsive, fast, and deliberately unrealistic. You boost through traffic, you drift around corners, you send cars flying, you spin around, you drift, you smash things, you can instantly reverse directions. All these abilities make the truck feel closer to an arcade character rather than a realistic vehicle, and I think that's exactly what this game needs, deserves, and delivers. This is a destruction-focused driving game where it could easily become frustrating if the vehicle is heavy, slow, or difficult to recover when you spin out or you get stuck, and Truck-kun avoids all those problems. The facts are, you make a mistake, it rarely stops your run for long. You can crash, flip, boost, and continue causing all the mayhem you want to. I think the city does a good job of giving you plenty of objectives to destroy. You have everything across the roads, the residential areas, the industrial section, mountains, ports, ramps, fences, vehicles, hedges, bushes, beach chairs, plastic chairs, wooden fences, plastic fences. It just goes on and on and on, and you're just creating all this chaos, and the heat meter's going up, and the police are coming to get you. There's this frantic pace as all these obstacles are getting smashed, but as you smash everything in your path, it's helping your longer runs stretch longer, helping you build more stars, and you're farming these monsters. because every pedestrian you hit, you are sending them right to the fantasy world to get farmed for XP so you can save Carissa. You're not just running over things because the game rewards random destruction, you are collecting enemies. You're not just breaking scenery to increase a score, you are charging up an attack. It's so mechanically simple, but I think the theme here gives the destruction a clear purpose. And all that purpose is held together by the objectives. Without them, the game just becomes driving in circles, hitting every object here. But it's not just driving in circles. You have these clear objectives that make you react. You're heading towards a package delivery, and suddenly it says, hey, you need to knock down a fence. Oh my goodness, we're going to smash that fence. Once you know the city, it feels completely different driving through. Not because the truck has changed or the city has changed, but you've changed because you start remembering where fences are. You know where all the parked cars are. You know that if you need to smash a cement mixer, who parked the cement mixer where. I think this is a game that rewards mastery. But again, that mastery reaches its limit quickly because you're always mastering the same single location. Again, as you complete these objectives, as you smash these different destructible world pieces in your runs, you're going to unlock these stars, and these stars advance the campaign, which continues to unlock new conversations between the driver and Carissa. Eventually, the story leads to a boss encounter. I think it does give the game a real ending rather than just giving you a high score to chase. There's a few pleasant surprises. I like the characters. I think it was great to see them play off each other. They have different paths of their life. They have different places they started, different ways they view the world, different moral compasses, and it all just kind of progresses this narrative in a really charming way. At the same time, the milestones are super grindy because the reward is often another conversation rather than another new mechanic, map, or major upgrade. Because the game here is giving you reasons to continue, but it's not always giving you new reasons to enjoy continuing. These are not the same things. A progression system should ideally change what the players can do, what decisions they make, what challenges they face. But here in Truck-kun, the progression just asks you to become more efficient at the exact same activity. I think this is going to work for a lot of players who enjoy score chasing because you can keep improving your route, completing objectives faster, and extending your runs. But if you're someone who's looking for new content, you're going to reach the end of the game's ideas much earlier than the end of the milestones in the story here. The facts are, it's a nonsense story, but I think the game recognizes that and treats it with an appropriate amount of humor. You have this character that's trapped in another world and is asking you, a truck driver, to send other people to her to become monsters she can farm so she can get back and everyone can get back. And the driver is somehow willing to continue running over people to fix the situation. It's all just kind of a joke. I think the dialogue between the characters really understands that and treats it appropriately. I think visually the game's presentation fits the tone, but I think, again, these visuals contribute to the game feeling cheaper than its $20 price tag suggests. Again, simple graphics are not a problem by themselves. The problem here is that the presentation, the short campaign, the repeated objectives, and the single map all reinforce the feeling that this is just a small product. Yes, I think the game has a memorable idea, but it does not always have the production depth to support the price attached to that. I find it very tough to defend the $20 purchasing price here. I think the campaign is going to last you somewhere between 3 and 6 hours. Yes, you can continue to play after you've rolled credits. And if you really love chasing scores and stars and objectives, there's things you can do here, but the game does not offer mechanical growth or environmental variety. I think at $5, this will be such a fun, novel thing that it's so easy to recommend because you get this absurd presence, strong arcade controls, a short campaign, and a few entertaining sessions you can sit down and just play your way through. But at $20 here, for me, the expectations change. I think the visual presentation makes it look inexpensive. I think the campaign is short, the map count is low, and the progression does not substantially change the experience. I had fun with this game, but I don't think personal enjoyment automatically makes something a value. At its full price, Truck-kun feels like a $5 arcade game being sold for 4 times that amount. Now here's the facts. If you're the type of player who enjoys a short arcade session and some score chasing, you're going to love this. If you care more about responsive controls and chaos rather than long-term depth, this is a game for you. If you're the type of person who's like, hey, I love the isekai premise, it's funny enough to carry several hours of the jokes and destruction, you're going to like this. If you like learning a map, planning efficient routes, extending a timer through objectives, but I think you're going to get a lot more here than someone who's focused on just finishing the campaign. I think at a sale, this is a great choice for someone looking for just one session of some strange evening entertainment, just something out of the norm for you. But if you're the type of player who wants mechanical progress, or you want more map variety, more major changes, or you dislike repeated objectives, you're going to struggle. And if you're the type of player who measures the value by the amount of new content they receive, I'd be very cautious here. I think Truck-kun is Supporting Me from Another World has a fantastic title of a ridiculous story, a surprisingly good truck. Driving through the city feels great. The objectives give the destruction direction. The conversations between the driver and Carissa make a very silly premise even more entertaining. And for a while, it creates exactly this kind of one more run energy I think every arcade game needs. But for me, the game reveals nearly all of its ideas way too quickly. One map, repeat objectives, and the progression moves the story forward without moving the gameplay forward. The first hour is so full of chaos and possibility, but moments later you realize you've mostly been repeating that first hour again and again and again. Truck-kun is not a bad game, and at the right price, I would recommend it as a funny and well-controlled arcade distraction. But for me, I don't think $20 here is the right price. There's just not enough variety, progression, or content supporting that asking price. Truck-kun is fun, it is memorable, and it's just a little too expensive for how little it changes. At the time of review, Truck-kun is Supporting Me from Another World is awarded a 2 out of 5. I recommend.